Hi, I'm Steve McCarthy. Ordinarily, you'd see me welcoming you to another episode of Freedom is Not Free. Today, it's my pleasure to host the SCA-TV special celebrating 10 years of the SCA Veterans Club. Joining with me today is a distinguished panel of 3 former presidents of the club and the current president. It's my pleasure to introduce them. First, Bill Campbell, United States Army veteran. Next, Roger Cooper, United States Army veteran. Art Lindbergh, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy retired. And the current president, Paul McDowell, Major, United States Air Force retired. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your service. Bill, I'm going to start with you. Perhaps you could take us back to the early beginnings of the club when it was still just a special interest group, and tell us how it evolved.
Well, Steve, 10 years ago, we had our first meeting right over here, and we had an overwhelming turnout, 25. And I thought, this has got to get better. So the next meeting we had 23, okay? So I knew that we had to do something because within the community we had recorded 804 veterans. So from there, the story goes on. And I served for 3 years. Actually, I took over for a gentleman by the name of Wendell Jones, who started as president. I was vice president, and Wendell took a teaching assignment that made him travel a lot. So I was left doing the job, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. Started with a meager amount. I did know that our objective had to be to boost membership. We did this via, we put together a website. We had a call tree for every meeting. We called all members. There weren't very many at first. And we did a lot of advertising. And then we knew that the key to this, to our success, had to be to have qualified and interesting guest speakers. So that's what we did. We had a good tech manager at the time, and we put on some very good programs. So at the end of my tenure, we had over 400 members.
Roger, as well as being club president, being involved for many years, you are also the current commander of the Color Guard.
Yes.
Could you explain how the Color Guard was formed, what's involved in being a member, and what you do?
Well, the Color Guard was originally put together by Herb Solomon, who passed away a few years ago. And when Herb passed, I took over as the commander. We basically present colors at our meetings, at community events, for other clubs. We've been for Women's Club a couple of times. We basically have, for a full color guard, it requires 8 people. It's actually 10 people. 2 honor guards, 1 person carrying the American flag, 1 the Nevada flag, and the 5 service flags, and the commander. Depending on the request of the venue or whatever, most of the time we use just a 5 person color guard, which is 2 honor guards, the American flag, the Nevada flag, and the commander.
Does it require any special training, or is it a large time requirement?
No, there's very little time required, and there's not much training. Initially, we did a lot of marching down the center aisles of Hanneman Hall and then up the steps. But more recently, because of increased programming and one thing or another, most of it is done on the stage, where we're in place, screen usually goes up, and we'll step forward, present the colors, usually followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem, and then we step back and programs go on.
Now, Art, you just came off of 2 years as the club president. It's a challenging, as Bill touched on it, a challenging schedule of speakers and special events. Could you take our viewers through what it's like to try to get 9 speakers a year for the club?
Well, it happens because of the club. And I said this to several people, in fact, many people. This is a club that I have thoroughly enjoyed being a part of, and primarily because of the enthusiasm of the membership. We fluctuate between 400 and 500 members. When any member sees that something needs to be done, they volunteer and step right in and start getting it done. And that goes for the speakers. There had been just at least 50 or a little bit greater percent of the speakers have come as a result of members making recommendations. And Bill's desire to have good speakers and to have that as being a part of the club has been realized.
Could you give us an example of speakers during your tenure that might have stuck out in your mind, or you just happen to remember for some reason?
Well, one, of course, it was a fellow who was very active with the USS Midway down in San Diego. And one of our members came up to me and said, you know, it would be nice to have him come and make a presentation. Lo and behold, he came up here, spent a couple of days on either side of our Tuesday meeting, and made a terrific presentation. And then, of course, he was advertising the Midway, and many of our membership have subsequently gone down there and enjoyed the Midway.
I remember that one. It was very interesting. Paul, as the incoming president, you've taken the baton from these 3 gentlemen. One of the things that the club gets involved in, although not a primary mission, is charitable contributions to local groups. Could you talk about that program a little bit?
Yeah, I know this past year we've actually expanded a little bit on it, but obviously what we want to try to do is to support the active duty people and the veterans, of course, and of course their families. We've been a strong supporter of Veterans Village, and we encourage it. We've even had a speaker come out here from Veterans Village where we had people bring in donations, and they were very much appreciated. Myself and my wife actually go down there occasionally, and we always mention the fact that we're from Sun City Anthem Veterans Club. The other charities, in many cases, we recognize the color guards that we get from some of the local high schools. We will continue to support, for as long as they exist, the Blue Star Mothers. There are several other organizations here locally. The American Legion, which does a good job supporting the veterans around here. But all of it, of course, is either for the veterans, active duty, or their families.
Very important work. In addition to the normal club activities each year that are speakers, we host 2 major events every year, one of which is Veterans Day, the other is the Ice Cream Social. Phil, I'd like, if you would, touch on what Veterans Day, how it evolved, and why all of a sudden, over the years, it's become the largest attended function in the community.
Veterans Day is very dear to all of us, and we knew that if we could get good speakers for Veterans Day, we would bring a lot of people in, and we do fill up the Delaware Room. The speakers that we've had, 9 of them have been taken from the Freedom is Not Free interview log. We've had an astronaut, we've had a lady admiral, we've had a gentleman that was a steward, and along with these, Steve, not digressing from your question, but some of these we were able to get the Legion of Honor from the Republic of France. They were decorated with this, which is the highest decoration that France has. It's just a special time. Everybody does a great job. Echoing what Art said, it's a team effort, and it's a joy. and I look forward to it every year.
Bill and Roger, you two gentlemen seem to have been the driving force behind the ice cream social, at least over the last couple of years. Roger, I think you've been involved almost since the first one. And Art, you were very innovative in increasing the super drawings and super prizes. Could you two gentlemen both talk about what's involved in planning that, what the challenges are, and how you see it going forward?
Well, the ice cream social is perhaps the second biggest event of the year, and we'll have anywhere from 450 to 500 people buy tickets and show up. We've been fortunate from the beginning almost that Albertsons grocery store at Bicentennial has provided all the ice cream and water they donated no charge to the club, and then we've gone out and obtained gift certificates from different businesses and restaurants, whatever in the area, which we raffle off. One of the big let me back up just a minute. One of the big things about Veterans Day that draws all the people is the slideshow that's put on that has pictures of all the veterans who either have been part of the club or not, who live in the community. It's I don't know, what are we up to now? About 300 pictures, I guess, in the display, and this seems to be one of the prime things that people come looking for every year.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit on it. The Veterans Club has not been a money-raising organization by design. We did not want to get into being a big charitable accumulator of funds. But thanks to the Ice Cream Social, we've been able to have at least one event that brings in some money. And that's been, of course, with Albertsons and the ice cream, which is the big one. And we now have a relationship with an outfit called Nevada Coin Mart. And they are providing us with just incredible pieces of jewelry, which makes for a very nice raffle for our women, and makes the husband come out to be a hero with his wife. And they have agreed to even do it again this coming year. And in about a month or two, I'll be getting over there to look and see what kind of jewelry we'll be having. And when I talk about money, I'm talking about some that are $5,000, $8,000 a piece available. And of course, we do not get that kind of a bid on it, but we do get a respectable amount. We've also been very fortunate to have a couple of people donate money after their families did after their passing. And so we've been able to have some money to donate to local veterans. One that wasn't mentioned that I think very highly of is Michael's Angel Paws. We now have 2 dogs that we are going, they're service dogs. They will go to specific veterans in the area. And these are people from the Afghanistan and Iraq combat areas. And to have a service dog is just a wonderful, wonderful benefit to a veteran. And there aren't that many places that are able to help them out and give them that dog. So we're working on that, as well as the various other organizations in the area. And people seem very happy with that ice cream bit. You know, you can't beat going in there and get all the ice cream you want for $5. And we get a lot of support from other organizations. Peggy Sue and her ladies have been the distributors of the ice cream, stand there behind the table and scoop it out. And at the end of the event, everybody has a beautiful smile, and we're ready to start looking at where we can help the local organizations. And in order to do that, of course, we have to be rather frugal with what we do with our expenses, and so we keep an eye on that also.
It certainly has developed into one of the bigger things of the summer in Sun City Anthem. Paul, you get the tough question. As the new president, and you just took over the 1st of January as we tape in February, what are your goals for the coming year as president? What would you like to accomplish?
Well, the first thing is I'd like to continue the success that the other past presidents have had over the years. They have done such an outstanding job. I would like to bring in more speakers. One of the things I would like to also concentrate on is having the club do a little bit more to support some of the veterans here in the local areas. I think it was about a year and a half ago, we had Jerry Jones and Ann Small Williams put together a package that was very supportive of the veterans that we will hand out, of course, to all members of the club. We've run out of those. We've generated a few more, and we will continue to do so. So anything that we can think of over the next couple of months here that we can do to increase our support for veterans in the local area, and not just provide them, with speakers to come to a meeting and listen to something. We would like to actually be more active in actually working with veterans in the local area.
Is volunteerism a challenge for the club?
Yes, it is. A little frustrated at times because I'm a member of a couple other clubs here locally, and I'm surprised at how easily they are to get volunteers. We're in need of a couple right now. We advertise at the meetings, but I think the group of volunteers, surprisingly, most of them are very active in volunteering in other organizations. So it's difficult sometimes to actually go out and ask these people that are volunteering and supporting a whole bunch of organizations to do it at least one more time. So I think the veterans, more so than anybody else, realize that they do have to go out and support things. But we normally, when we start the meetings, there'll be people that'll stand up and help us in almost every case.
So our message to our viewers is get out and help vets and help the club. For the 3 former presidents in the room, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Name the one thing during your tenure that you were most proud of. We'll start with Bill.
Start with me. Okay, well, I would say it was to build the membership. As I mentioned when you first queried me, we just didn't have a club, but through a lot of help and innovative plans, we came up with a membership after 3 years of 400. And I think also, Steve, a testament to not just my tenure, but everybody's, is that we've been able to maintain the 400 to 500 number. And this is quite unique in a retirement community, because people get older, they absolutely say, I don't want to go to the meeting, so we have to really urge them. And we've been able to do that because we have marketed very, very well. One of our greatest enemies at a meeting is not what is happening in the meeting, but what is happening outside. They moved Jeopardy to 7 o'clock, okay? And our members are Jeopardy fans, as am I. And most of them never heard of a recorder, okay? So, but I would say driving membership, Steve.
Roger, same question.
Well, the thing that I'm perhaps most proud of is the memorial wall behind us. I was influential in getting the hallway here designated as Veterans Hall. I was able to get the wording up on the wall, as well as the 5 service emblems. I currently maintain putting up the new plaques and indicating the ones who unfortunately have passed away. We open up the stars so that they can. It's been very, very popular, and we add, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 new plaques every year. We're almost at a filling up the last one, and we're in the process now through the association of obtaining another plaque that will be installed on the wall.
I think it's important to note, since you mentioned the plaques, that you do not have to be a member of the Veterans Club to be on that wall.
That's correct.
You just have to be a veteran. And I think that's a distinction that should be made, because this is Veterans Hall, not the Veterans Club Hall.
Steve, if I may add, Roger is very modest, because during my tenure, we worked at expanding the hall, getting it where it is today, and that was done by Roger Cooper. Okay, it took a long time, but we got it done, and I think it's beautiful.
All right, during your tenure, something sticks up?
Oh, yeah, I think, there are a number of things, but one in particular was I'm a real believer in developing relationships with other clubs here located in Sun City, Anthem. And one that I am extremely proud of was the ladies who do quilts. They came to me and to others and suggested that they make a quilt for, and I thought, only World War II veterans. Well, that has just been eclipsed. It is now for all veterans, and these ladies have created wonderful works of art. And they've been presented now to all World War II and Korean War veterans here at Anthem, and even some Vietnam veterans, and the intent is to continue with that. The presentation is so moving, and as president, I was privileged to be standing next to these veterans as they were awarded the quilts, and many of them had tears in their eyes. And those tears were tears of joy and thankfulness that somebody cared. And these gals have just done a wonderful, fantastic job. It will continue. And we're also looking at other organizations on how we can collaborate with them and to, again, bring more things into our meetings other than just a speaker. And so that's one in particular, the quilts, that I'm super proud of.
May I add to what Art just mentioned on the quilts? Just recently I've gotten input from the ladies who do the quilts. They have created considerably more than what they had expected. In February, we will be passing out 10 quilts. They were going to do it every 3 months. They were going to be passing out another 10 quilts. They are so far ahead that we will now be doing it on a monthly basis, the same number, and continuing that when we have our meetings throughout the year. So they are truly supporting the veterans of this community.
And the plan for the quilts is to eventually reach out to all veterans through Vietnam.
All veterans in the community.
As the current president, what do you see as your major challenge to build on these accomplishments? What would you like to accomplish?
Well, it's going to be difficult to probably exceed or get beyond what they have already done. But as for the meetings themselves and for the veterans, I would like to see the veterans themselves, since it is a club, rather than just them coming to a meeting, I would like to open up at least a portion of the meeting to have a little bit more contributions from the veterans that are on the floor. We've had great speakers, we've had great presentations, and I'd like to see a little bit more activity from the actual veterans, and probably open up something during the meeting to which the veterans can contribute and actually make suggestions or these types of things to see what we can do to actually make the Veterans Club better, and to not only support the veterans in the community in Sun City Anthem, but also here in Henderson and Las Vegas.
Now, in the course of our conversations, we've mentioned a couple of past presidents who are no longer with us. Would you care to touch on the contributions of Colonel Herb Bloom, whose idea it was to establish a veterans interest group at the time? Wendell Jones, Herb Solomon, and of course our good friend Davis Leonard, and what their contributions meant to each of you.
Well, I did not know Colonel Bloom that well. However, I did know Davis Leonard, and Davis was very passionate. He absolutely spent hours upon hours doing activities for the club. And as he aged, I would see him here putting up nameplates, okay? He could hardly stand up. I learned a lot from Davis. I told him, I says, you're the chief of staff. The chief of staff is the senior advisor who has the most tenure. He helped us a lot, and he's missed, and he did a great job, Steve.
Right. I guess recognized Herb Solomon for his work in establishing the color guard. He initially asked for anyone who wanted to serve or whatever. Most of us, as we have gotten older, no longer fit into our original uniforms. So Herb had gone out and contacted all of the ROTC programs in the high schools in Las Vegas, and most of us are wearing uniforms that were donated by the ROTC groups to us. Mine is one. I have an Army uniform. As uniforms have changed in the various services, ours are, I guess you would say, somewhat obsolete. However, they do represent the service that each one of us was in.
All right, you actually had to replace Herb Solomon as he got ill and stepped right up.
Well, Herb became my mentor, and he took me under his wing. I was not fairly new, I was absolutely new to this area. And lo and behold, he asked me to be his vice president. What an honor I thought that was. And so I very readily said, yes, I'd be pleased to do so. Not at all anticipating that he would pass and then I would be stepping into the shoes of the president. But it was just so meaningful for me to be a part of this organization. And it's like I indicated earlier, this organization is just so different from most in fact all that I've ever been involved with before. The esprit de corps, the patriotism that is continually shown by our membership, and the willingness to get in there and just to make it work, and to come up with new ideas, to put smiles on people's faces, and to reinforce the proudness of being a veteran. And so Herb did that for me, and I have to throw in his wife too, because Myrna was a significant contributor to all that Herb did. They collectively, they pretty well ran everything, and did a fantastic job with it.
Paul?
My comments right now are, he mentioned Myrna Solomon. The wives of all the members have always been truly supportive of the organization. Bill's wife, Roger's wife, and Art's wife been outstanding. I was surprised that we have a lot of members, surprisingly. Just like a lot of clubs here in Sun City Anthem, you don't have to be a veteran to be a member of the club. And I was surprised at how many of the people that are not veterans that are truly supportive of what we do here. So I've been very impressed with the club and its membership and how we reach out to the entire community and not just the veterans, because the community itself supports the veterans very well.
And I'd like to re-emphasize that point, that you do not have to be a veteran to be a member of the Veterans Club. You just have to be able to want to support veterans, or just you love your country. Final question, gentlemen, for all of you. You're all veterans. You've all made distinguished contributions to the club. What does the club mean to you, and what does Veterans Hall mean to you, just from the viewpoint of being a veteran?
Pride. I'm so pleased that I got involved with the Veterans Club and have been a part of the accomplishments. We are doing something for people that served our country, and I don't think there's any nobler cause than that. And I really, really admire the people that I work with, and like I've always said, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it, and it's fun.
Roger?
Well, my service in the Army, whatever, was quite some time ago. I actually joined the Army Reserve a month after I turned 17. I was still in high school, and served 8 years in the Army. And over the years or whatever, it's just the feeling of helping those that I served with, being a part of the community, and also I volunteered probably most of my life, and it's a joy to serve different organizations who are taking care of veterans for various reasons. It's just it's something that over the years, whatever, just become a part of my life that I'm grateful for, to be able to do what I have.
Wow. After I got out of the Navy, after serving 20 years, I got out of the Navy and went to work for a civilian organization. And as such, I really was removed from much contact with the military. I mean, I knew it was there and what have you, but I didn't have a daily contact or a weekly contact with it. When I came here, that disappeared, and I was very much involved with this Veterans Club. And in a very selfish way, this club has given me a renewed pride in having served. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but the interaction with people who have served and who maybe didn't serve but support our defense system is just a wonderful feeling for me to have. And I think it's something that as you get older, you can't go run up and down the mountains, and you can't go on 9 and 10 month cruises. And so you look for other things that show what you can do for this lovely nation that we have. And that's what this club has given to me. Very selfish way, but it's been great.
In my case, unlike Art, when I retired from the military, I actually went to work for a company that dealt on a daily basis with the military. So I basically continued to maintain contact with the military throughout my entire career. Upon retiring, I unfortunately was involved in maybe a few too many volunteer organizations which were outside of this community. But when I encountered the Veterans Club, I knew immediately that this was another organization where I had to become a member of. The individuals that are in this club, the people that they support, the things that they do for the veterans themselves, and not only just for the veterans of this community, I think I mentioned before, but for the veterans on the outside and their support of the veterans, the active duty, and their families. That is probably the one thing that I, appreciate and support more than anything else, is what they will do for all of them, and not just supporting the members that are in the club themselves.
So it seems like a great opportunity to not only serve the community, but as Art pointed out, reconnect with veterans, swap what we used to call in the Army war stories, sea stories in the Navy. Any final words, gentlemen?
Talking about support outside the community, we have one of our members who, I guess it's on a monthly basis, goes out to the Veterans Cemetery in Boulder City to participate in services for veterans who have no family, no relatives available, and she's been doing that for quite some time, which is another example of how we're reaching out to the communities.
Well, I think it points out that the Veterans Club makes contributions well beyond the confines of the campus here at Sun City Anthem. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming in, spending some time with us. Thank you for your service. My best wishes for 10 more years of success and service to the community. And to our viewers who are veterans, thank you for your service. To us Vietnam vets, a special welcome home. And to everyone, God bless the United States. For SCA-TV, I'm Steve.